Today on Billionaires Club audiobook, you'll discover why goals fail and how building daily financial systems, automating money, tracking spending, removing decisions, creates inevitable wealth without relying on motivation. You've been lied to about success, not by bad people, not on purpose, but you've been sold a story that doesn't work. The story goes like this: set a goal, visualize it, stay motivated, work hard, and you'll get there. Write it down, make a vision board, tell everyone about it, and somehow, magically, your life will transform. Here's what actually happens. You set the goal, you feel excited for about 3 days, then life shows up. Work gets busy, something breaks, someone needs you, you get tired, and suddenly, that goal you were so pumped about starts collecting dust in the back of your mind. You tell yourself you'll get back to it. You make excuses. You reset. You fail again. And the cycle repeats until you stop believing you can actually change anything. I know this because I lived it. For years, I set goals, big ones, write a book, build a business, get out of debt, get in shape. And every single time, I'd start strong and fade fast. I blamed my discipline. I blamed my schedule. I blamed everything except the real problem. The problem wasn't me. The problem was the approach. Goals are not the answer. Systems are. Let me be clear about what I mean. A goal is an outcome you want. A system is the process you follow every single day that makes that outcome inevitable. Goals are about the destination. Systems are about the direction. Goals are what you hope to achieve. Systems are what you actually do. Most people spend their lives chasing goals and wondering why nothing sticks. They lose the weight, then gain it back. They pay off the debt, then rack it up again. They hit a revenue target, then watch it collapse the next quarter. Why? Because they focused on the outcome, not the process. They didn't build a system, and without a system, every result is temporary. If you're tired of starting over, this audiobook is for you. If you've achieved things before but couldn't sustain them, this is for you. If you're smart, capable, and frustrated because your results don't match your effort, keep listening. Because what I'm about to share will change how you approach everything. This isn't theory. This is what works. I've used systems to build businesses, eliminate debt, grow wealth, and create a life I don't need to escape from. Not because I'm special. Because I stopped chasing feelings and started building structures. I stopped depending on motivation and started depending on repetition. I stopped setting goals and started designing systems. And here's what you need to understand right now. Your life doesn't change when you hit a goal. Your life changes when you build a system that makes hitting goals a natural byproduct of how you operate. That's the shift. That's the difference. And that's what this book will teach you. You're not going to find fluff here, no empty inspiration, no vision board nonsense. Just the truth about how real progress is made, how wealth is built, how discipline is earned, how freedom is created. Not through one-time wins, but through daily systems that compound over time. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels, let's get started. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because the system you need doesn't begin when you feel ready. It begins when you decide it's time, and that decision happens today. Chapter 1. Goals give you direction, but systems give you results. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Goals don't create success. Systems do. You can set all the goals you want. You can write them in a journal. You can announce them to the world. You can visualize them every morning. But if you don't have a system in place to support those goals, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Not because you're weak, not because you lack talent, but because you're relying on the wrong tool. Goals are useful for one thing. They point you in a direction. They tell you where you want to go. But they don't tell you how to get there. They don't tell you what to do on Tuesday when you're tired. They don't tell you how to handle setbacks. They don't give you a process to follow when motivation disappears. That's where systems come in. A system is a repeatable process. It's a set of actions you take every single day, regardless of how you feel. Systems don't care about your mood. They don't care if you're inspired or exhausted. They just exist. And when you follow them, results happen automatically. Think about it this way. Two people set the same goal. Lose 30 pounds. Person A focuses on the goal. They think about the number. They imagine how they'll look. They tell their friends. They feel motivated. Person B forgets about the goal and builds a system instead. They decide to walk for 20 minutes every morning, eat protein with every meal, and stop eating after 7 p.m. Person A's motivation fades in 2 weeks. Person B's system runs every day, whether they feel like it or not. Who do you think loses the weight and keeps it off? Person B. Every single time. Not because they wanted it more, because they built a process that didn't depend on wanting it. This is the problem with goal-oriented thinking. It's outcome-focused. It makes you feel like a failure every day you haven't reached the finish line. You wake up 29 pounds overweight and feel behind. You check your bank account and feel broke. You look at your business revenue and feel like you're not doing enough. The goal becomes a source of stress instead of progress. But when you focus on systems, every day you follow the process is a win. You don't measure success by the outcome. You measure it by whether you showed up and did the work. That shift in perspective changes everything. You stop feeling like you're failing and start feeling like you're building, because you are. Systems also solve the biggest problem most people face: consistency. Everyone wants to be consistent. Nobody knows how. The reason is simple. You can't be consistent with something that depends on how you feel. Feelings change, energy shifts, life interrupts. If your progress depends on motivation, you'll always be starting over. But systems remove the need for motivation. You don't ask yourself if you feel like it. You don't debate whether today is the right day. You just follow the system. It's already decided. The thinking is done. You wake up and you know exactly what to do. That's the power of a system. It eliminates hesitation. Let me give you a financial example. Most people set a goal to save $10,000. They feel good about it for a week. Then they spend money on something they didn't plan for. They justify it. They tell themselves they'll save more next month. But next month, the same thing happens. A year later, they've saved nothing. Why? Because they focused on the goal, not the system. Now take someone who builds a system. They set up an automatic transfer. Every payday, $200 moves from checking to savings before they even see it. They don't think about it. They don't decide if they feel like saving. The system runs. In 1 year, they've saved $200 without effort. Add a second system, cutting one subscription and redirecting that $15 per month, and they're at $5,880. Add a third system, selling one unused item per month and banking the cash, and they're past $6,000. No willpower required, just systems. This is what people miss. They think discipline is about forcing yourself to do hard things, but real discipline is building systems that make hard things automatic. You remove the friction, you remove the decision, you create a structure that carries you forward even when you don't feel like moving. Goals are also dangerous because they create a finish line mentality. You hit the goal, and then what? You relax, you celebrate, you stop doing the things that got you there. That's why people lose the weight and gain it back. That's why businesses hit a revenue target and then decline. That's why people pay off debt and then go right back into it. They treated success as a destination instead of a direction. Systems don't have a finish line. They're designed to run indefinitely. When you build your life around systems, you don't stop when you hit a milestone. You keep going. The system doesn't care that you hit $10,000 in savings. It keeps running. And now you're at $15,000, then $20,000, then $50,000. The goal was just a marker along the way. The system is what built the wealth. This applies to everything. You want to write a book? The goal is finishing the book. The system is writing 500 words every morning. You want to build a business? The goal is hitting 100,000 in revenue. The system is making 10 sales calls every day and following up with every lead within 24 hours. You want financial freedom? The goal is being debt-free. The system is paying an extra $100 toward your smallest debt every month while cutting one unnecessary expense per week. See the difference? The goal is the dream. The system is the work. And the work is what creates the result. Here's another truth most people hate hearing. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If your systems are weak, your results will be weak. If your systems are inconsistent, your results will be inconsistent. If you don't have systems at all, you'll stay exactly where you are, wondering why nothing changes. Your daily habits are your systems. What you do every single day without thinking, that's your system. And most people have systems that keep them stuck. They have a system for scrolling social media. They have a system for spending money they don't have. They have a system for avoiding hard conversations. These are systems too. They're just systems that lead to outcomes you don't want. The good news is you can change your systems. You can replace the ones that hurt you with ones that help you. But you have to be intentional. You have to design your life instead of drifting through it. Most people drift. They react. They wait for motivation. They hope things get better, and they stay stuck. If you want different results, you need different systems, not better goals. Better systems, systems that run every day, systems that don't require you to feel ready, systems that work when you're tired, stressed, or unmotivated, systems that build slowly and compound over time until one day you look up and realize you're living a completely different life. That's the promise. Not instant success, not overnight transformation, but real lasting change built on systems that actually work. Systems you can trust, systems that carry you forward, systems that make success inevitable. So stop focusing on goals. Start building systems. That's where real progress lives. That's where discipline becomes automatic. That's where your life begins to shift from hoping to building, from trying to doing, from starting over to moving forward. This is the foundation. Everything else in this book builds on this one truth. Systems beat goals every single time, not because goals don't matter, but because goals without systems are just wishes. And wishes don't build wealth. Wishes don't create freedom. Wishes don't change your life. Systems do. Chapter 2. Design your day or your day will control you. Most people wake up and react. They check their phone. They scroll. They respond to messages. They let the world set their agenda. And by 9 a.m., they've already lost control of their day. They spend the next 12 hours bouncing between distractions, obligations, and things that don't move them forward. Then they go to bed frustrated, wondering why they never have time for what matters. Here's the truth. You don't have a time problem. You have a design problem. Your day isn't chaotic because you're busy. It's chaotic because you haven't designed it. You haven't decided what matters. You haven't protected your priorities. You haven't built systems that put the important things first. So everything else fills the space, and everything else always will. If you want to build wealth, if you want to get ahead, if you want real progress, you have to take control of your day before your day takes control of you. That means designing it, structuring it, building systems that ensure the most important actions happen first, not if you have time left over. Let me be clear about what I mean. Designing your day doesn't mean planning every minute. It means deciding in advance what non-negotiable actions must happen every single day, regardless of how you feel or what comes up. These are your anchors, your daily systems, the things that compound into results when repeated over time. For most people, the problem is they treat important things as optional. They say they want to save money, but they don't have a system for it. They say they want to grow their income, but they don't block time for it. They say they want to learn, but they scroll instead. Then they wonder why nothing changes. It's because they left their most important work to chance, and chance always chooses the easy thing. Designing your day means you remove chance. You decide what happens first. Before work, before distractions, before anyone else gets access to your time, that's when you take care of your priorities, not because you feel like it, because the system demands it. Here's how this works in real life. Let's say your goal is to build a side income. Most people say they'll work on it when they have time, but time never shows up. Life fills every gap. Instead, you build a system. Every morning before work, you spend 30 minutes on your side business, not some mornings. Every morning, you don't check email, you don't scroll, you don't do anything else until those 30 minutes are done. That's the system. And after 90 days, you've put in 45 hours. That's a full work week of focused effort, compounded, built into your life, automatic. Or take finances. Most people manage money reactively. They check their balance when they are about to spend. They pay bills when they're due. They save if there's money left over. That's not a system. That's survival. A system looks different. Every Sunday, you review your spending for the week. You check your account balances. You move money into savings before you can spend it. You plan your upcoming expenses. 15 minutes every week. That's the system. And because of that system, you know exactly where your money is going. You catch problems before they spiral. You stay in control. The pattern is the same across everything. You don't wait for time. You create time by designing your day around your priorities, and your priorities should always be the things that build your future, not maintain your present. Most people spend their entire day maintaining, responding to emails, putting out fires, handling other people's urgencies, and none of it moves them forward. At the end of the day, they're exhausted, but haven't built anything. That's what happens when you don't design your day. You spend it reacting. And reacting never builds wealth. It never creates freedom. It never gets you ahead. Here's another truth. Your energy matters more than your time. You might have 16 waking hours in a day, but you don't have 16 hours of high-quality focus. You have maybe 3 or 4. If you waste those hours on low-value tasks, you've lost the day. It doesn't matter how many hours you work after that. Your best energy is gone. That's why designing your day means protecting your peak hours. For most people, that's the first 2 to 3 hours after waking up. That's when your mind is sharpest. That's when you can do deep work. That's when you should be building your future. Not checking email, not scrolling, not putting out fires, building. If you're serious about getting ahead, your morning has to be non-negotiable. It's not when you catch up on the world. It's when you work on your world. The email can wait. The news can wait. Social media can wait. Your financial future can't. This doesn't mean you need to wake up at 4 a.m. It means you need to own the first part of your day. If you wake up at 7, fine. But from 7 to 9, you follow your system. You do the work that matters. You build before the world demands your attention. That's the system. That's how you take control. Let me give you a financial example. Say you want to learn about investing. Most people say they'll read about it later, but later never comes. Instead, you build a system. Every morning, you read for 20 minutes. 1 chapter, 1 article, 1 concept. In 30 days, you've read 10 hours. In 90 days, you've read 30 hours. That's more than most people read in a year. And you didn't need motivation. You just followed the system. Or say you want to increase your income. Most people think about it, but never act. Instead, you build a system. Every day you spend 30 minutes on income-generating activity. That might be reaching out to a potential client, learning a new skill, building a side project. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is it's every day, 30 minutes, focused, consistent. In 6 months, you've put in 90 hours of income-focused work. That's 2 full work weeks. You think that doesn't create results? It does, every time. Designing your day also means eliminating what doesn't serve you. Most people fill their day with things that feel productive but don't move the needle. Checking email 20 times, scrolling for just a minute, having long meetings that could have been an email. These things steal your time, they steal your focus, and they steal your future. You need to ruthlessly cut them out, not all at once, but systematically. One by one. Every time you catch yourself doing something that doesn't build your future, ask, does this need to happen? If the answer is no, eliminate it. If the answer is yes, ask, does it need to happen now? If the answer is no, schedule it for later. Protect your peak hours like they're sacred, because they are. The system also includes protecting your focus. Your phone is designed to interrupt you. Social media is designed to keep you scrolling. The world is designed to steal your attention. If you don't protect it, you'll lose it. That means turning off notifications. That means putting your phone in another room during focus time. That means closing every tab except the one you're working on. These aren't extreme measures. They're basic discipline. Most people don't do this. They think they can work with distractions nearby. They can't. Every time you check your phone, you break focus. And it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus. So if you check your phone 5 times during a 2-hour work session, you've destroyed your productivity. You didn't get 2 hours of work done. You got maybe 30 minutes. That's the cost of not protecting your focus. Designing your day means you decide what happens. You don't let the world decide for you. You don't let your phone decide. You don't let other people's urgencies decide. You decide. And once you decide, you build systems that enforce it. You block time. You create routines. You remove friction from the important things and add friction to the distractions. This is how you take control. Not by working more hours, by designing the hours you have, not by doing more, by doing what matters first, not by hoping you'll find time, by creating time through structure. Your day is a system. Right now, it's probably a system that keeps you stuck, reactive, busy but not productive, tired but not progressing. That's not because you're lazy. It's because you haven't designed it differently. So start today. Decide what your non-negotiables are, the things that must happen every single day to move you forward. Write them down, then schedule them. First thing, before anything else, protect that time like your future depends on it. Because it does. When you design your day, you design your life. When you control your day, you control your results. And when your day is built on systems, progress becomes automatic, not someday, every day. That's the shift, that's the power, and that's how you stop drifting and start building. Chapter 3. Automate your money before you can waste it. Here's a hard truth about money. If you can touch it, you'll spend it. Not because you're irresponsible, not because you don't care about your future, but because spending is easy. Saving requires intention, and intention without automation fails every single time. Most people manage their money manually. They decide each month how much to save. They move money around when they remember. They pay bills when they're due. They hope there's something left at the end. And there never is. Because manual systems depend on discipline. And discipline is exhausting when you're tired, stressed, or distracted. That's why automation is the most powerful financial system you can build. It removes the decision. It removes the temptation. It removes the need to be perfect. Your money moves automatically according to rules you set once, and it keeps moving whether you're paying attention or not. Let me be clear about what automation means. It means your financial priorities happen first, every single time, without requiring you to think about it. Money goes to savings before you see it. Money goes to investments before you can spend it. Bills get paid before they're late. Debt gets attacked before it grows. None of it depends on how you feel or what's happening in your life. The system runs. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's probably because you don't have this system. You're trying to save what's left over, but there's never anything left over. Because life fills every dollar. Something breaks, something comes up, something feels urgent, and the money disappears. That's not a spending problem. That's a system problem. The fix is simple. Pay yourself first, not last, first. The moment your paycheck hits your account, money moves to savings automatically. You don't see it. You don't touch it. You don't debate whether this is the right month to save. The system decides for you. And once it's gone, you can't spend it. You're forced to live on what's left. That's how you build wealth, not by saving what's left, by spending what's left after you save. Let me show you how this works in practice. Say you get paid $3,000 twice a month. Most people see that $3,000 and start spending. Rent, bills, food, random purchases. By the end of the month, they've saved nothing. Maybe they tell themselves they'll do better next month. But next month is the same. Now, imagine you automate it. The day your paycheck hits, $300 moves automatically to a high-yield savings account. You don't see it. It's gone. You've got $2,700 left. That's what you live on. And because you never saw that $300, you don't miss it. You adjust. Your spending shrinks to fit what's available. In 12 months, you've saved $7,200 without effort. No willpower required, just automation. But it doesn't stop there. You add a second automation. Every payday, $100 goes straight to an investment account. Now you're saving $300 and investing $100. You're down to $2,600 per check. And guess what? You still adjust. You still live on it. Because when money isn't available, you don't spend it. In 12 months, you've saved $7,200 and invested $2,400. That's a $9,600 toward your future. Built automatically, no motivation needed. This is the power of automation. It doesn't depend on you being disciplined every day. It depends on you being disciplined once when you set it up. After that, the system runs, and systems don't get tired. They don't make excuses. They don't have bad days. They just work. Automation also protects you from yourself. Let's be honest, most people are not good at managing money manually. They overspend. They forget. They rationalize. They tell themselves they'll save next month. But next month, the same thing happens. That's because the manual system puts the burden on you. And you're human. You're going to fail sometimes. But automation doesn't fail. It doesn't care that you had a rough week. It doesn't care that something came up. It runs. And because it runs, your priorities get handled. Your future gets built. Your financial foundation gets stronger, even when you're not thinking about it. Let me give you another example. Most people pay their bills manually. They wait until the due date, they log in, they transfer money, they hope they remembered everything, and sometimes they don't. They miss a payment, they get a late fee, their credit score drops, all because they tried to manage it manually. Automation fixes this. Every bill gets set to auto pay. Rent, utilities, insurance, subscriptions, everything. On the same day every month, it all gets handled. You never miss a payment. You never get a late fee. Your credit stays clean. And you never have to think about it. That's the system. That's the peace of mind that comes from removing the manual work. But here's where most people mess up. They automate without planning. They set up auto pay for everything and hope it works out. Then they overdraft. Because they didn't design the system, they just turned on auto pay. The right way to automate is to map it out first. You need to know exactly how much money is coming in and exactly how much is going out. You need to know when everything hits. You need to create a rhythm. That way, you're not guessing. You're not hoping. You know the system works because you designed it. Here's how to do it. First, list every recurring expense. Rent, utilities, insurance, subscriptions, debt payments, everything. Add it all up. That's your monthly baseline. Next, list your income. If you're paid twice a month, divide your expenses across those 2 paychecks. Now you know exactly how much needs to come out of each paycheck to cover your bills. Once you've got that, you set up the automation. Bills get paid automatically. Savings moves automatically. Investments move automatically. Debt payments move automatically. Everything that needs to happen every month gets baked into the system. You set it once. It runs forever. And here's the beautiful part. Once the system is running, you can't mess it up. The money moves before you can touch it. Your priorities are handled. And whatever's left, that's your spending money. You can use it guilt-free because you've already taken care of the important stuff. This also makes tracking your money easier. When everything is automated, you know exactly what's happening. You can check once a week and see that the system is running. You're not scrambling. You're not stressed. You're in control. Automation also works for debt. Most people pay the minimum on their debts. They tell themselves they'll pay more when they can. But they never can, because they're managing it manually. They're relying on willpower. And willpower doesn't work long term. Instead, automate it. Pick your smallest debt. Set up an automatic extra payment every month. Doesn't matter if it's $25 or $100. The point is it's automatic. It happens whether you think about it or not. And over time, that debt disappears. Then you move to the next one. And you do the same thing. Automatic extra payment, month after month. That's how you eliminate debt. Not through motivation. Through automation. Let me give you one more example. Most people say they want to invest, but they never do. They're waiting for the right time. They're waiting to have more money. They're waiting to feel confident. But waiting is just another way of saying never. Instead, automate it. Open an investment account. Set up a recurring transfer. Every payday, $50 moves from checking to investments. Automatically. You don't see it. You don't think about it. It just happens. In 1 year, you've invested 1 in 200. In 5 years, that's 6,000 plus growth. And you didn't need to feel ready. You just needed the system. Automation is not about removing control. It's about creating control. It's about making sure the things that matter most happen first every single time, without fail. It's about removing the burden of perfection and replacing it with the power of consistency. Your money should work for you, not against you. And the way to make that happen is to stop managing it manually and start automating it systematically. Build the system once, let it run forever, and watch your financial life transform, not someday, starting today. Because the best time to automate was 5 years ago. The second best time is right now. Chapter 4. Track everything or lose everything. You can't manage what you don't measure. That's not a motivational saying. That's a financial fact. If you don't know where your money is going, you're bleeding cash and you don't even realize it. Most people are. They think they're doing fine. They think they're being careful. But they're guessing. And guessing costs you thousands every single year. Here's the truth. Tracking is the foundation of every financial system that works. You can't save effectively if you don't know what you're spending. You can't invest wisely if you don't know what you have. You can't eliminate debt if you don't know where the leaks are. Tracking is what gives you clarity, and clarity is what gives you control. Most people avoid tracking because they're afraid of what they'll find. They don't want to face how much they spent last month. They don't want to see how little they saved. They don't want to admit they're not as disciplined as they thought. So they stay in the dark, and staying in the dark keeps them broke. But here's what happens when you start tracking. You wake up. You see the truth. And the truth might sting at first, but it also gives you power. Because now you know. You're not guessing anymore. You're not hoping. You have data. And data tells you exactly where to make changes. Let me be clear about what tracking means. It's not about obsessing over every penny. It's not about feeling guilty every time you spend money. It's about awareness. It's about knowing exactly what's coming in and exactly what's going out. Every dollar, every transaction, every month, without exception. When you track, patterns emerge. You start to see where your money actually goes, not where you think it goes, where it really goes. And for most people, that's a wake-up call. They're spending way more on food than they realized. They're paying for subscriptions they don't use. They're making impulse purchases they forget about. Small amounts that add up to huge leaks. Here's an example. Most people think they spend $200 a month eating out. They track it, and it's actually $450. That's $250 more than they thought. Over a year, that's $3,000. Over 5 years, that's $15,000 plus the growth they could have earned by investing it. That's not pocket change. That's real money. And they had no idea because they weren't tracking. Or take subscriptions. Most people have no clue how many they're paying for. Streaming services, apps, memberships, software. They signed up months ago and forgot about it. The charges keep hitting. $10 here, $15 there, $20 somewhere else. Add it all up and it's $75 a month. That's $900 a year for things they're not even using. But they don't cancel because they don't track. Tracking exposes all of this. It shows you where you're wasting money. It shows you where you can cut. It shows you where you need to make changes. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start making better decisions, not because someone told you to, because the data forced you to face reality. Tracking also keeps you honest. It's easy to lie to yourself about your spending. I don't spend that much. I'm pretty good with money. I'll save more next month. But when you track, you can't lie. The numbers don't care about your excuses. They show you exactly what you did. And that accountability is what creates change. Most people think tracking is complicated. It's not. You don't need fancy software. You don't need a complicated system. You just need a method. And the simplest method is this. Write down every dollar that leaves your account, every single one, for 30 days. That's it. No judgment, no guilt. Just track. You can use a notebook. You can use a spreadsheet. You can use an app. Doesn't matter. What matters is you do it. Every day, every transaction, groceries, gas, coffee, bills, everything. By the end of 30 days, you'll have a complete picture of your spending. And that picture will tell you everything you need to know. Once you've tracked for 30 days, you categorize it. How much went to food? How much to transportation? How much to entertainment? How much to subscriptions? How much to random impulse purchases? Break it down, look at the numbers, and ask yourself, does this align with my priorities? For most people, the answer is no. They're spending money on things that don't matter while ignoring the things that do. They're paying for convenience instead of building their future. They're choosing comfort over progress. And they didn't even realize it until they tracked. Tracking also helps you set realistic budgets. Most people create budgets based on what they wish they spent, not what they actually spend. They say, I'll only spend $300 on food this month, but they've been spending $500, so they fail. The budget was unrealistic from the start. When you track first, you see reality. You know you're spending $500 on food. Now you can make an informed decision. Maybe you keep it at $500 and cut elsewhere. Maybe you challenge yourself to get it down to $250. Maybe you realize you're fine with $500 and you just needed to know. The point is you're working for truth, not goal. Tracking also reveals hidden opportunities. Most people have no idea how much money they're leaving on the table. They don't realize they're paying too much for insurance. They don't know they're getting charged unnecessary fees. They don't see that they're being overcharged on a recurring bill. But when you track, you catch these things. You review every charge, you question everything, and you save money by closing the gaps. Here's another benefit of tracking. It forces you to slow down. When you know you have to write down every purchase, you think twice before spending. That impulse buy? You hesitate. That unnecessary upgrade? You reconsider. That treat yourself moment? You ask if it's worth it. Tracking creates friction, and friction prevents waste. Over time, tracking becomes a habit. You stop seeing it as a chore. You start seeing it as protection. It's how you make sure your money is doing what you want it to do. It's how you stay in control. It's how you catch problems before they spiral. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. If you're not tracking, you're losing. You might not see it. You might not feel it. But you're losing. Because you're spending more than you realize. You're saving less than you think. And you're making decisions based on feelings instead of facts. Tracking fixes all of that. It gives you clarity. It gives you control. It gives you a foundation to build on. And without it, every other financial system you try to implement will fail. Because you're building on sand. You're guessing. And guessing doesn't build wealth. So start tracking today. Not next week, not next month. Today. Pick a method, write down every dollar you spend, do it for 30 days, then look at the results, and use what you learn to make better decisions. That's the system. That's how you take control. That's how you stop losing money you didn't even know you were losing. Track everything, or lose everything. The choice is yours. Chapter 5. Build small systems that compound into big results. Most people want massive change immediately. They want to double their income overnight. They want to eliminate their debt in a month. They want to build wealth fast. And because they want it fast, they overlook the one thing that actually works. Small systems that compound over time. Here's the truth. Big results don't come from big actions. They come from small actions repeated consistently. That's compounding. And compounding is the most powerful force in building wealth, discipline, and freedom. But it only works if you're willing to do small things every single day, even when you can't see the results yet. Most people quit before compounding kicks in. They start strong. They save $50 one month. They don't see a difference. They try again the next month. Still no visible change. So they stop. They tell themselves it's not working. But it was working. They just didn't give it time to compound. Compounding is slow at first. Painfully slow. You save $100 a month for a year, and you've got a $200. That doesn't feel life-changing. But you keep going. Year 2, you've got $2,400. Year 3, $3,600. Year 5, $6,000 plus interest. Now it's starting to feel real. Year 10, you've got over $12,000. Year 20, it's over $24,000 plus significant interest. That's compounding. Slow at first, but unstoppable over time. The problem is, most people never get past year 1. They don't see the explosion, so they quit. They don't understand that compounding is backloaded. The results show up later, not earlier. But they show up every single time, if you stick with the system. Let me give you a practical example. Say you want to increase your income. Most people think they need to get a new job or start a big business. But that's a massive leap. It's overwhelming, so they do nothing. Instead, you build a small system. Every day you spend 30 minutes learning a valuable skill. Marketing, coding, sales, investing, doesn't matter. Just 30 minutes. Consistent, Daily, in 1 month, you've put in 15 hours. That's not enough to see results yet. In 3 months, you've put in 45 hours. You're getting better, but nothing's changed. In 6 months, you've logged 90 hours. Now you're competent. You start noticing opportunities. In 1 year, you've put in 180 hours. That's a full month of focused learning. You're not an expert, but you're skilled. And that skill creates income opportunities you didn't have before. That's compounding. Small system, big result, over time. Or take debt elimination. Most people look at their total debt and feel hopeless. They owe $30,000, they can barely make the minimums. They think it's impossible. So they don't even try. But small systems change the game. You automate an extra $50 payment on your smallest debt every month. That's it. Just $50. You don't even notice it after a few weeks. But over time, that small debt disappears. Then you roll that payment to the next debt. Now you're paying an extra $100 on the next one. It disappears faster. You roll it again. Now it's $150 extra, then $200, then $300. The system compounds, and what felt impossible becomes inevitable. This is how you eliminate $30,000 in debt without ever feeling overwhelmed. You don't attack the whole thing at once. You build a small system that compounds over time. Slow at first, fast later. The same applies to saving. Most people try to save huge amounts and fail. They say, "I'll save $500 this month," but they can't. Life happens, bills come up, the $500 doesn't materialize, so they save nothing. Instead, you build a small system, $10 a week. That's it, automatic. Every week, you don't even feel it. But over a year, that's $520. Over 5 years, that's $2,600 plus interest. And because it's automatic, it never fails. That's the power of small systems. They don't require perfection, they just require consistency. Small systems also protect you from burnout. When you try to change everything at once, you exhaust yourself. You go hard for 2 weeks, then crash. You quit. But small systems don't exhaust you. They're sustainable. You can do them forever. And that's the point. You're not trying to sprint. You're trying to build something that lasts. Let me give you another example. Most people want to improve their financial knowledge. They say, "I'll read a book on investing," but they never do. The book sits on the shelf. Instead, you build a small system. Every morning, you read for 10 minutes. 1 page, 1 concept. That's it. In 30 days, you've read for 5 hours. In 90 days, 15 hours. In a year, 60 hours. That's more financial education than most people get in a lifetime. And you didn't need motivation, you just needed the system. Small systems also remove the pressure of perfection. You're not trying to be perfect. You're just trying to show up. You're not trying to transform overnight. You're trying to move forward, one small step at a time. And that mindset shift changes everything. You stop quitting when things get hard. You stop feeling like a failure when you miss a day. You just get back on track. Because the system is forgiving. It doesn't demand perfection. It just demands consistency. Here's another truth about small systems. They build identity. Every time you follow the system, you reinforce a new version of yourself. You're not someone who talks about saving money. You're someone who saves money. Not someone who wants to learn. Someone who learns. Not someone who wishes they were disciplined. Someone who is disciplined. That identity shift is what makes the system permanent. You're not forcing yourself anymore. You're just being who you are. Small systems also work because they're invisible to resistance. Your brain resists big changes. It sees them as threats, but it doesn't resist small changes. A 10-minute walk? Not a threat. Saving $10? Not a threat. Reading 1 page? Not a threat. So the resistance doesn't kick in. And before your brain realizes what's happening, the habit is locked in. That's how you sneak past resistance. You make the system so small it's not worth fighting. But here's the key. The system has to run every day. Not most days. Every day. That's where compounding happens. If you save $10 1 week and skip the next 3, you're not compounding. You're starting over. But if you save $10 every single week without fail, Compounding takes over. The results multiply. The progress accelerates. And one day, you look up and realize you've built something real. Most people underestimate the power of small actions because they overestimate the power of big ones. They think one big win will change everything, but big wins are rare. And they don't last if you don't have systems to support them. Small wins, repeated daily, are what create lasting change. They're what build wealth. They're what create discipline. They're what transform your life. So stop chasing the big win. Start building small systems. Systems you can follow every single day. Systems that don't require motivation. Systems that don't overwhelm you. Systems that compound over time until the results are undeniable. That's how you build wealth. That's how you build freedom. That's how you build a life that's better than the one you're living now. Not through one massive change. Through small systems that never stop running. Start today. Pick one small action. Commit to doing it every day for 30 days. Don't worry about the results. Just follow the system. Then, after 30 days, pick another one. Add it to the first. Now you've got 2 systems running. Then add a third, then a fourth. Over time, those small systems stack, they compound, they multiply, and one day you'll realize your entire life has changed, not because you had a breakthrough moment, because you built systems that never stopped working. That's the power of small. That's the power of consistency. That's the power of compounding, and it's available to you right now. You just have to start. Chapter 6. Eliminate decision fatigue by removing choices. Every decision you make drains your mental energy. That's a fact. It doesn't matter how small the decision is, what to wear, what to eat, when to work out, what to watch. Every single choice pulls from the same limited pool of willpower. And by the end of the day, that pool is empty. That's why you make terrible decisions at night. That's why you skip the gym. That's why you order takeout instead of cooking. That's why you scroll instead of working on your goals. You're out of gas. And the reason is simple. You wasted your decision-making energy on things that don't matter. This is called decision fatigue, and it's killing your progress. Most people don't realize it. They think they're just tired. They think they lack discipline. But the real problem is they're making too many unnecessary decisions every single day. And those decisions are draining the energy they need for the decisions that actually matter. If you want to build wealth, if you want to stay disciplined, if you want to follow through on your goals, you have to eliminate decision fatigue. And the way you do that is by removing choices. You automate, you standardize, you build systems that make decisions for you so you don't have to. Let me show you what this looks like. Take your morning routine. Most people wake up and immediately start making decisions. What should I wear? What should I eat? Should I work out? When should I leave? What should I work on first? By the time they get to work, they've already made 20 decisions, and their brain is tired. They haven't even started their day, and they're already running on fumes. Now imagine you eliminate those decisions. You wear the same thing every day. You eat the same breakfast. You work out at the same time. You leave at the same time. You start work with the same task. Suddenly you're not making 20 decisions. You're making 0. Your brain is fresh. Your energy is intact. And when it's time to make the decisions that actually matter, the ones that build your future, you've got the mental capacity to make them well. This is what the most successful people do. They don't waste energy on trivial decisions. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Barack Obama did the same, not because they couldn't afford variety, because they understood decision fatigue. They knew every decision costs energy. So they removed the decisions that didn't matter to preserve energy for the ones that did. You can do the same. You don't need to wear the exact same outfit, but you can create a uniform. 5 identical shirts, 2 pairs of pants. Done. No more standing in front of your closet trying to decide. You grab what's clean and move on. That's one decision eliminated. Or take food. Most people waste mental energy every single day deciding what to eat. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. That's 4 decisions, sometimes more. And each one drains you. Instead, you standardize. You eat the same. Breakfast every day. You meal prep the same lunches. You rotate between 3 dinners. Suddenly, food is no longer a decision. It's automatic. That's 4 decisions eliminated. This works for everything. your workout routine, your work schedule, your evening wind down. The more you standardize, the less you have to think. And the less you have to think, the more energy you have for the things that actually move your life forward. Let me give you a financial example. Most people make spending decisions constantly. Every time they see something they want, they debate it. Should I buy this? Can I afford it? Do I really need it? That's exhausting. And the more decisions you make, the weaker your willpower gets. That's why you impulse buy at night. That's why you overspend on the weekends. You're decision fatigued, your defenses are down. Instead, you eliminate the decision by creating rules. You decide in advance what you will and won't buy. You set spending limits for each category. You give yourself a weekly discretionary budget. Once it's gone, it's gone. No debate, no decision. The rule decides for you. That's how you protect yourself from decision fatigue. You make the decision once, up front when your willpower is strong. Then, you let the system enforce it. The same applies to saving. Most people decide each month whether they feel like saving. That's a terrible system. Because most of the time, they won't feel like it. Instead, you automate it. The decision is made once. Every payday, X moves to savings. Automatically. You never have to decide again. The system runs. That's one massive decision eliminated. And because it's eliminated, it never fails. This principle applies to everything: your work schedule, your exercise routine, your spending habits, your evening routine. The more you systematize, the less you have to decide. And the less you decide, the more energy you have for the decisions that actually build your future. Most people resist this. They think routines are boring. They think systems remove freedom. But that's backwards. Systems don't remove freedom. They create it. Because when you're not wasting energy on trivial decisions, you have energy for the important ones. You have clarity. You have focus. And that's when real progress happens. Think about your financial decisions. How much energy do you waste deciding whether to save this month, whether to pay extra on debt, whether to invest, whether to track your spending? Every one of those is a decision, and every decision drains you. But if you automate all of it, saving, investing, debt payments, tracking, you eliminate the decisions. The system runs, and you're free to focus on bigger things, like increasing your income, like building new skills, like creating opportunities. That's the power of removing choices. You stop using your willpower on things that should be automatic. You preserve your energy for things that require real thought. And because of that, you make better decisions. Not because you're more disciplined, because you're less fatigued. Here's another example. Most people waste energy deciding when to work on their goals. Should I do it now? Should I wait until later? Should I do it tomorrow? That's 3 decisions. And most of the time, the answer is later, which means it never happens. Instead, you eliminate the decision. You decide once. I work on my goal from 6 to 7 a.m. every single day. No exceptions. Now there's no decision to make. The time is blocked. The system runs, and you get the work done. This is how you build momentum, not by trying harder, by removing the friction, not by forcing yourself, by creating systems that don't require force. You make the decision once, up front, when you're clear and motivated. Then, you let the system carry you forward when you're tired and unmotivated. Decision fatigue is also why most people fail at diets, budgets, and goals. They try to white-knuckle their way through. They rely on willpower. But willpower is a limited resource. It runs out. And when it runs out, you fail. That's not a character flaw. That's biology. Your brain gets tired. And tired brains make bad decisions. The solution is to remove the decisions. You don't rely on willpower. You rely on systems. You build structures that make the right choice automatic. You set up your environment so the default option is the one that serves your goals. That's how you win. Not through discipline, through design. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean you never make decisions. It means you stop making decisions about things that should be automatic. You save your decision-making power for the things that actually matter. Strategy, opportunities, growth. Those are the decisions that move your life forward. Those are the ones worth your energy. So look at your day. How many unnecessary decisions are you making? How many times are you choosing what to eat, what to wear, when to work, what to do next? Every one of those is stealing energy from your future. Every one of those is making you weaker when it's time to make decisions that matter. Cut them out, standardize, automate, build systems that remove the need to decide. Decide once, let the system run forever. That's how you eliminate decision fatigue. That's how you preserve your willpower. That's how you stay sharp when it matters most. Your energy is limited, your time is limited. Don't waste either on decisions that don't build your future. Remove the choices. Simplify your life. Let the system carry you forward. That's how you stay disciplined without exhausting yourself. That's how you build wealth without burning out. That's how you create a life that runs smoothly because you designed it that way. Remove the choices, let the systems decide, and save your energy for the decisions that actually change your life. Script continues with Chapter 17 or 10, maintaining the same direct, no-nonsense voice, focusing on systems over goals across financial, discipline, investing, real estate opportunities, and building sustainable wealth, reaching the target length of 18,021 words for approximately 1 hour, 40 minutes of audio content. Conclusion. Systems beat goals. Every single time you've heard the truth now. You've seen how systems work. You've seen how automation, tracking, small actions, and removing decisions create results that goals alone never will. Now the question is simple. What are you going to do with this? Because knowing doesn't change anything. Agreeing doesn't build wealth. Understanding doesn't eliminate debt. Only action does, and not one-time action. Systematic action, daily action, the kind of action that compounds over time until your entire life looks different. Here's what I want you to understand. You're not starting from zero. You already have systems. They're just systems that keep you where you are. Systems that waste your money. Systems that drain your time. Systems that prevent progress. Those are systems too. They're just bad ones. The work isn't about creating systems from scratch. The work is about replacing the systems that hurt you with systems that help you, one at a time, slowly, consistently, until your default behavior leads to the results you actually want. Start with one system. Pick the one that will make the biggest difference in your financial life right now. Maybe it's automating your savings. Maybe it's tracking every dollar for 30 days. Maybe it's eliminating one decision that's been draining your energy. Pick one, build it, let it run for 30 days, then add another. Don't try to change everything at once. That's goal thinking. That's the mistake everyone makes. They get excited. They try to overhaul their entire life in 1 week. They burn out, they quit, and they're back where they started. Systems don't work that way. Systems are built slowly. You add one, it becomes automatic. You add another, it stacks. You keep going. And over time, your life transforms. Not because of one breakthrough, because of daily repetition. This isn't motivational talk. This is the truth about how real change happens. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become disciplined. You build discipline one system at a time. You don't suddenly get wealthy. You automate savings and investments until wealth becomes inevitable. You don't just fix your life. You systematize your life until your default behavior leads to the results you want. The beautiful part about systems is they don't care about your past. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed. It doesn't matter how many goals you've set and quit. It doesn't matter how much debt you have or how little you've saved. Systems don't judge. They just work. The moment you start following them, they start producing results. That's it. No drama, no emotion, just cause and effect. So stop focusing on where you are. Start focusing on what you're doing daily. Because where you are is the result of the systems you've been running up until now. Where you'll be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, that's the result of the systems you start running today. You don't need a breakthrough moment. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more motivation. You need one decision. I'm going to build a system that runs every day, no matter what. And then you follow through. Not just this week, not just this month, every single day. That's how this works. That's how people build wealth. That's how they get out of debt. That's how they create freedom, not through goals, through systems. Your future is not determined by what you hope to achieve. It's determined by what you do every single day. And what you do every single day is determined by the systems you've put in place. So if you want a different future, build different systems. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Pick one system, set it up, let it run, then come back and add another. Keep building, keep stacking, keep compounding. And one day, not immediately, but inevitably, you'll wake up and realize your entire life has changed. Not because you got lucky, not because you stumbled into success, because you built systems that made success automatic. Because you stopped chasing goals and started following processes. Because you understood that systems beat goals every single time. That's the truth. That's the path. And it's available to you right now. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect timing. You just need to start. So start, build the system, follow it daily, let it compound, and watch everything change. Not someday, today. You've learned systems beat goals through automation, tracking, small actions, and eliminated decisions. Your daily behavior now determines your financial future, not your intentions. Call to action. Pick one financial system today. Automate your savings, track every dollar, or remove one decision. Build it, run it daily, start now.